Let us chant those two slokas. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mruchorma Amrutangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Revered Swamiji, who is conspicuous by his absence, learned colleagues, committed non-teaching staff, and dear disciplined students. One day a schoolboy advised me. He saw my mobile in my shirt pocket and said, "Sir, why do you keep your mobile in your shirt pocket? Why don't you keep it in your trousers pocket? Why do you keep it so close to your chest?" Then the very next moment I got into a dilemma, whether to accept the advice or to dismiss it. After all, a schoolboy who has asked you for any advice, why do you advise me? So I was a bit negative just for a moment. But immediately I remembered one great story, a small story but a great story. There was a benevolent king long time ago. He was a benevolent king. And he wanted to see the affairs of his kingdom. What is the law and order in my kingdom? Are all my welfare schemes being implemented? Are my people happy? What are their living conditions? And he wanted to go around the kingdom and know for himself instead of depending upon his ministers and his advisors and other people. So he went about the kingdom and he went in disguise. He went in the guise of a very poor man, lest other people should recognize him. And he did not even wear his shoes. He was barefooted. Just a perfect picture of a poor man roaming about the city, the towns and city. And to his surprise and disappointment, to his chagrin, he saw that the roads of the town were in a very bad condition. The roads were rugged and rough. There were pebbles everywhere. He could not walk freely. There were even stones. There were potholes. And when he returned, he saw that there were even sores in the soles of his feet. The next day, immediately he called an emergency meeting. A meeting which was well attended by all his courtiers, his advisors, and also some important people from the public. And he said, "We have money. Our coffers are full. Why should the roads be in such a bad condition? Now I am passing a decree. Let all the roads of the town be spread with soft leather. Not even a single road should be left out. All the roads should be spread out with soft leather." Then the members in the gathering, they thought to themselves, what a foolish idea. How cumbersome it is and how costly it is to cover all the roads with leather. How impractical, how unwise, what a quixotic idea of this king. But they did not open their mouth, they did not speak out, because they had fear of disobedience and also fear of punishment. And they were silent, and the king took their silence for acquiescence and also for acceptance. Oh, it will be done the next day. But immediately, one old man in the gathering, he said, he was an old man, but he was a very bold man. He was not afraid of the king. He was poor. Though he was poor, he was very bold and very courageous. He said, "Oh king, I have an idea." Then the king said, "I have advice to give you." Advice? Come on, may I know it? Yes, king. Instead of covering the entire city, entire roads, all the roads in the city with soft leather, why don't you make a pair of chappals or shoes for you? It will solve the problem. Then the king, for a moment, he got into a dilemma, but immediately he came out of it and he said, "You are right. Let us follow his advice. What a wealthy fool I am, and what a worthy man he is, though he is poor. Let's follow his advice." And the next day, the old man's idea was implemented. So this advice, sometimes we get angry and we react negatively to advice by the other people, especially when that advice is unsolicited. We see people advising us, okay, every now and then. Why do you go to that movie? Why don't you see this movie? Why do you read this book? Why don't you read that book? Why do you join this institute? Why not that institute? Why do you walk like this? Say, why don't you walk like this? Like this. But here, in our life, each and every individual needs advice, and when advice comes to us, we can take it. And on the second analysis, if the advice is good, let us take it. If the advice is not sound, let us drop it. But without advice, what happens? Why advice I get? Because knowing in our life, each and every one of us will be making very important decisions, and we will also be performing very important actions. So in all our decisions and actions, advice is so valuable. In the absence of sound advice or counseling, our decisions and actions may go wrong, and we may stand to disadvantage. That is the value of advice. And now, I thank our Swamiji for having given me such a nice opportunity to stand before all of you. And I also thank our Samyog Sir for giving me this wonderful opportunity to address my beloved students. Thank you all.